Arena shooters have been prevalent in gaming culture for the past 20 years, including some well-known standalone titles such as Quake and Unreal Tournament. The arena game type has even evolved into other more modern titles such as Halo, Call of Duty, and even Destiny, but at its core it is still arena-based combat. Each one of these games managed to put their own spin on the format and have left us with lasting impressions. Now, a new contender in the arena shooter format has emerged. Does it leave a lasting impression or merely scratch an itch? Stay tuned as we answer this question and more in this Livid review of Splitgate, Arena Warfare. Developed by 1047 Games, a brand new studio in the game development world, Splitgate aims to take an already established genre and put their own twist on it. Immediately upon looking at this game, a lot of initial reactions pegged it as Portal with guns, which is probably a concept we all thought about the first time we played Portal. Well, I'd say wait no longer. If you took Halo's multiplayer combat, minus the vehicles, and strapped a portal gun to your wrist at all times, then you'd essentially get Splitgate. The team that comprises 1047 Studios are all Halo 3 veterans, and you can certainly feel that here. As a result, the pacing of a match isn't determined by where you initially see your enemies at, but where they could potentially be coming from. The inclusion of the portal mechanic gives players a quick way to get to objectives or outmaneuver opponents through specific blue digital mesh covered surfaces, rather than just fighting over a corridor in a futile attempt to push an objective. This often gives players heroic moments as you make a play from a direction your opponents possibly overlooked and swings the match in your team's favor. Through a very specific placement of these portal surfaces, the developers prevent a completely chaotic scene from taking place. Meshes are placed at just the right angles to give them some very strong sightlines, but these are often met with multiple other surfaces or pathways that could be used to flank that position. Now you aren't limited to just moving through the portals. Your weapons are able to fully shoot through linked surfaces, allowing portals to also be used for strange sightlines that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to use before. Also, just like Portal, moving through a portal transfers your current momentum, often leading to some pretty crazy flanks and just straight up launching yourself across the map. With all these benefits come downsides as well. Every portal from every player is able to be fully interacted with. The only difference is only your character can see through your own portal. Every other link, even other allies, completely obscures your vision. The only indication that there is a player behind one of these portals is that your crosshair will light up red when being aimed at, and it will flash. This greatly aids in allowing portals to become fantastic escape tools at low health, or when your team coordinates a series of portals in the same area to keep your enemies guessing where you are all actually coming from. Lastly, each character gets 2 EMP grenades when they spawn, being able to pick up more from enemies. These can be tossed at surfaces with portals to close the connecting side if it's an enemy spawned portal. Now I absolutely love how all this is handled for the most part, but there are certainly aspects that can be improved. Not being able to see through your team's portals seems like a move to possibly balance the use of them, but I'd be really interested to see how it would play being able to actually gain vision through them. In addition to this, EMP grenades can't be thrown through portals either, which could honestly be so useful in assisting with closing other enemy portals that may be pinning down a teammate. Now, in terms of weapons, Splitgate seems to have around the standard amount of guns for the genre, maybe a little less. These are all 9 of the weapons available to you on nearly every single map. Now for the most part, all of these weapons feel great, as they seem to be based off a majority of Halo weapons from the past. Of these, you begin every match with the assault rifle and the pistol, which has given me major nostalgia for the original Halo Magnum, able to completely compete against the more powerful sniper and railgun at distances. This is, in my opinion, one of the greatest things about the original Halo multiplayer, in being able to compete with any enemy loadout as soon as you spawn. The developers clearly had the same opinion, and every weapon in the game seems extremely well balanced against one another. The plasma rifle seems to be one of the only weapons in the whole list, however, that I have had a lot more difficulty securing kills with. But then again, that may just come down to a skill thing. Even with 9 weapons, I would still like to see even more weapon variety, and maybe even have specific maps have certain weapon sets per map, but that is only minor criticism. While on the topic of maps, Splitgate also seems to have a good variety of design in its 6 arenas. Olympus is a large, open arena floating above the clouds, housing several multi-leveled structures around one central tower. The rocket launcher spawns on the bottom level with several smaller platforms below to help catch anyone that might fall. Overall, this is a very chaotic map that functions well on most game modes, especially if you know how to flank the 2 outer towers effectively. The map Silo, on the other hand, is much closer in feeling to that of Halo 3. It is a fluorescent, extremely vertical map with angled catwalks allowing for a lot of crazy maneuvers. This map, in my opinion, was one of the most enjoyable and well-balanced maps for the Team Deathmatch game mode, but really suffered on Domination and King of the Hill, due to the central tower always becoming a contested point. As a result, it often turned into immediately spawning and portal rushing back to this central point in a constant rinse and repeat pattern, with little progress made on either side. If I had to change one thing, it would be to remove the portal meshes on the underside leading into the central pillar. Outpost is a large open arena that houses 3 main multi-leveled structures and 1 distant sniping platform. There are a ton of opportunities here to use momentum to catapult yourself from one side of the map to the other, or grab the railgun drop at the very center of the arena. Overall, I felt this map was very well balanced and laid out for every single game mode we played. Helix is another map that felt straight out of Halo. It was made for those who enjoy close quarters combat with long hallways and tight corridors. The walls in nearly every section of the map are covered in portal surfaces, which have resulted in some of the most dynamic games I have played yet. Make sure you secure the rocket launcher, shotgun, and railgun that spawns here to give your team an edge. Highwind is a gorgeous treehouse atop the tallest Japanese forest, and is the smallest of all arenas with close corridors and exposed ramps that guarantees you will see combat regularly. I feel this map has a ton of balance and design issues, however. The sniper perch often becomes a camp spot with coordinated teams, which becomes extremely difficult to retake. This is due to very few portal positions to get up with, but ample positions to get strong angles on those approaching. The bottom of this map also feels starkly different from the rest of the map, with very few areas to cast portals from and leads to a lot of wandering around aimlessly. This would be the map I'd say needs the most amount of work. And lastly, there is Pantheon, a completely symmetrical map with sniper spawns on each side of a rather open arena. This unfortunately is the only map I never saw in 25 hours with the beta this weekend, but hopped into a private match to check it out. I loved the feel of the map when we fought within the arena, but very quickly it devolved into everyone running around the terrain on the outskirts of the map. I think the map could have completely done without this in order to keep the intensity within the arena itself. That would honestly be my only criticism with this map. Now, all of these maps were an absolute blast to play, especially with friends, but I do believe that Splitgate could do with several more maps added to its playlist, as the 6 quickly become repetitive, especially when the matchmaking ends up placing you in the same map 5 times in a row. That being said, there are at least multiple game modes on each map to help shake things up, with classics such as Team Deathmatch, King of the Hill, and Domination. I also have seen a few teased game modes such as Oddball and hilariously enough Teabag Confirmed, which I so want to be in the final game's release. Finally, 1047 Games plans to release this game to everyone free on May 22nd. With that comes the obvious question: will there be microtransactions? There definitely seems to be plans to have cosmetic only options from what I can tell, as the game already has a fair amount of armors and skins that you can choose from right out of the gate to make your character feel unique. As long as it remains purely cosmetic for microtransactions, I think this game has a great base product to support that. All in all, the combat, mechanics, weapons, and maps all feel incredibly solid and feels right at home among the best of the old school style arena shooters. The number of maps definitely also needs to increase, and possibly some tweaking to the allied portal interaction is necessary. Overall though, I'd give this game a solid 8 out of 10 on my scale of enjoyability and replayability for those who are fans of the arena shooter genre. Thank you all for stopping by. This has been the Livid Lion with our first Livid review. If you found this information useful and want to see more, consider liking and subscribing, as it helps me out immensely. Hope to bring you all more content soon.